Hello, I want you guys to watch this video more carefully, get to see what the new elected Secretary General of the ANC, FIKILE MBALULA, had to say in his first press conference. Let's watch, then I'll see you after then for more analytics.
We must be very much concerned about what is happening in Zimbabwe and what role we need to play to solve what is happening in Zimbabwe, because we don't subscribe to the idea of regime change in Zimbabwe. We need to campaign very hard to get things right, because Zimbabweans are coming to our country in their numbers because something is not right in their own country, which we must support them. And once that country becomes what it was, there will be no Zimbabwean here. So the British must think very hard about what they've done, and the Americans. They must uplift the sanctions so that Zimbabwe can grow as the economy and not use sanctions to deepen the pain and the impoverishment of Zimbabwe. The British know what they agreed to in Lancaster. They must come to the party and invest in the compensation of the Zimbabweans in the program of land redistribution. The 40 or something billion pounds they promised Mugabe and ZANU-PF, they must come to the party and not use the issue of land reform program of ZANU-PF as a scapegoat to run away. So they must come to the party and Zimbabwe will be a better country. Zimbabweans never came in this country. That was a breadbasket of the African continent. It was an economy that was alive. People were working in Zimbabwe. Now you've got Zimbabweans crossing, facing life and death, crocodiles coming into our country because there is no life. And where life is here in South Africa. And that has embedded our economy. But as the ANC, we will not agree in ideological terms that Zimbabwe must be turned into a client state next to us.
Well, guys, that as you just watch for yourself, that is the new elected Secretary General of the ANC, Minister FIKILE MBALULA, who's the current Minister of Transport in this country. Yes, today it was a day which they had to announce him as the new elected, Secretary General of the ANC. So this evening, he had to give his press conference on the top 7 new elected members of the ANC. So he had to go in the press conference and speak for the first time, guys. He spoke a couple of things, and as you all know that in this channel, all we do is to do analytics on different matters. So we select some few points for you in his speech or in his media briefing that we wanted to play for you so that you can get to understand. And, you know, for those who don't have an idea who's this man, well, guys, FIKILE MBALULA is not just like anyone in this country. FIKILE MBALULA have a history. He have something to say. You know, if you get to ask people around to know or for them to tell you who's FIKILE MBALULA, they will tell you. This man, he had a history. He trained almost in all the government, starting with former President Thabo Mbeki, following up with Kgalema Motande, going up with Jacob Zuma to President Ramaphosa up to now. FIKILE MBALULA is a man who always have the high position in the ANC. If it is not in the ANC, he have the high position in the government. And trust me, whether you are coming from a majority, whether you are coming from the opposition, so far, FIKILE MBALULA seems to be one of those politicians who they kind of like shaking people around because of the way that they are doing the job. FIKILE MBALULA is also well known as a man of Twitter because he's very influenced. You know, he have more than 2 million followers on Twitter, and that is excluding those people who are following him in other platforms such as Facebook and other social media. So you can tell already that he's one of those popular influencer in this country and is well loved among people. So he had to try to be candidates in the past, in the previous ANC 54th Congress, but unfortunately he failed that time. So this time delegates of the ANC decided to give him that chance so that he can go and work in the ANC. Now that they have given him his chance, obviously, as you watching the video that we play for you, you get to see that this man, he is happy, but at the same time is regretting. Is regretting not because he became the general secretary of the ANC. Instead, is because of his plans that he also have, or should I say he heard, when it comes to Ministry of Transport and the Tulia House, everything. So he kind of like is not too sure what to be next from them, because he have to resign now as a minister so that he can get to focus on the ANC affairs. And you guys, you get to see how this man had to travel from one minister to another minister, whether it was during Jacob Zuma, whether it was during President Ramaphosa. He was one of those like ministers that whenever they change the new cabinet by the President of Republic, he will always have something. I remember seeing him as a Minister of Sport. For Minister of Sport, I think he went to something like Minister of Police or something like that. I'm not too sure. From then, Minister of Transport, So beside that, this is the man who helped President Ramaphosa to even win the election, because he was assigned as president campaign management. So he did this part of work. He had promised that he was going to make President Ramaphosa to win the election, and that did happen. Okay, so for that reason, you can tell already that it's a man who's more qualified to be in the position that he wanted to go for. And don't be surprised in 5-10 years to come if you get to see him wanting to be also a deputy president of the ANC, or the president of the ANC itself. So we're not going to be surprised, because he's a man who's busy building his own history, and with everything that he does, obviously you'll tell for yourself that he's a man who knows what he's doing. But, in this press conference, some of other parts that I did not play for you, he had to ask a couple of questions, for an example, like what happened the day when President Ramaphosa was busy delivering his state report. And then the next things, we get to see former President Jacob Zuma walking in, and it had to interrupt everyone, and there were some people chanting, and they were busy sending some strong message through their songs, trying to hold President Ramaphosa and his people, and try to press Jacob Zuma. And, so all those things, we made a video from our side to try to tell you how much we condemn it, because we don't just have to come and close our eyes when we see that there's something which is not sitting okay. So he did all that he could do on his side to answer this question, because they had to put the question to ask him what will be the discipline about these members, starting with the former president himself. Are them going to be punished for what they have done? Where you get to see the president is standing on the altar giving a speech, and on the other side there are some people making noise. So he get to explain that it is a bit very early for him to say much about it, because the President Ramaphosa, he had been re-elected by the delegates. So obviously he will have to come and give the closing speech. And according to me, I think as he will be coming to give the closing speech, that is when they will be able to tell if they can actually get to punish all these members, includes those who were in the parliament who voted against President Ramaphosa or not. So they'll get to check all those things and come up with a conclusion. So he can't say much about it, as he said. He simply asked that for some times, and when we get to look on our site, the time is that to allow the president so that he can get to read what is president's mind and what is the thought of president about what these people have done, so that they'll be able to see whether they will just let it go or they'll have to disciplinary them. So beside that, he also spoke about these things of Zimbabwe. And, you know, guys, we spoke about these things as well, that seeing Zimbabwean, besides even Zimbabwean, but these Africans, brothers and sisters who are traveling day and night inside this country, sometimes it's not something that we should feel proud of, because we really don't know what could be the really reason why these people, they have to come over, you know. And I'm glad for the fact that Minister Mbalula himself gets to understand that, because I strongly believe that this is something that he usually deal with when he's in the office, and they had to tell him on how many Zimbabweans are crossing the borders and in what conditions, how risky it is, and everything. So he had to go to the deepest source of the problem to get to understand that this is not all about Zimbabwean. As long we don't tackle the real problem, then Zimbabwe won't be able to survive. So, and he had to get to send a strong message to Americans that they should know what to do and what not to do, especially when it comes to the Zimbabwean problems. They should not just be like trying to protect their own interest and forgetting people of Zimbabwe and putting them in a very hard position whereby everything is down economically, you know, everything's just so in mess because they had to put some sanctions on them and making empty promises, which they know that sooner or later is going to affect people of Zimbabwe. So I really like the way he put all this together, because, you know, someone like him speaking like this is a very strong message. Remember, he's a man who's representing the ANC now. So he had to have this kind of language, this kind of diplomacy language for those who want to cooperate with diplomacy. And that was something good about him, that he have to speak in behalf of Zimbabweans. Well, guys, that is what I wanted to share with you in this video. Thank you so much, guys, for taking your time to watch this video until now. I'll see you again very soon in our next videos. But for now, continue to be yourself. Be good, of course. Be kind, like always. Have respect for everyone in order for you to be respected. May God bless you all. I'll see you again very soon. Please, before you leave, make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. For now, bye-bye.